This phenomenon was posted after reportedly appearing over in Sweden. The truth is that it's a spectacular phenomenon recorded by Stanislav Jev. Another image that draws attention is what we're seeing here, where Ukraine reportedly struck in Sienyalta, according to reports from Russia. This is the image available so far. We'll see if more images come out later. This image a los detalles. This image is also good as it's part of what happened with that B-52 bomber crash at Edwards Air Force Base. We're going to talk about all the details in a moment. Also, a spectacular image of the G7, which is very rare to see. Take a look. It's uncommon to see images like this where all the leaders are present. Look, at the top is Macron, on the left is Donald Trump, on the right. Wow, I'm not sure if that's the one from Germany. No, or is it all of them? The one from Canada, right? Mark Carney. On the right is Meloni on the left, but that's not Meloni, right? Sorry. It's just that the image looks reversed to me here. Wait a second, let me set it right side up. There it is, look. There's Meloni on the right? And right below her is Sanai Takahashi, the one from Japan. Here's Starman, the one from the United Kingdom. And here is, what's his name, Merz. Merz, the one from Germany. At the bottom, there's Wonderleyen, but you can't quite see Costa. This one, well, and from the European Union as well. And also from the European Union. But anyway, there are the G7 members at this meeting. There's Macron smiling, there's Trump on the left, and there's the Canadian Prime Minister on the right. And well, it's part of what's happening at that moment in that region of the world. But another image that stands out is this one, which I think is the image of the day. And it's the one with Cape Verde's goalkeeper. And if you saw, I just watched the highlights of the Spain versus Cape Verde game. Adrian already said it here. I send a big greeting to Adrian from Spain. He said it that the Spanish national team isn't going to make it. They don't have anything. But well, I think he was right. They couldn't score a goal against Cape Verde. But yes, honestly, you have to give credit to this goalkeeper, who by the way is 40 years old. He wasn't part of the national team. He sent his resume through LinkedIn to convince them. Well, so that they would hire him.
Yes, and they hired him through LinkedIn.
They noticed his skills, and now he's done a spectacular job. At the start of the match, he had only a few Instagram followers. And by the end of the match, he already had 6 million followers on Instagram. Impressive. Well, 3 million followers says asterisk impressive. Do you know how many they had before? Before starting, just tens of thousands. So they didn't even have a million. I mean, not even 100,000. I mean, he really had very few followers. Basically, the people who followed him were those who knew him because he had played for some teams in Africa. Although by then he was already doing that. He played recently in a second.
Hey, the second division, I think, for a team in Portugal or Spain. But I think it was Portugal. Yes, in the second division. Okay.
Second division?
They pay you 30,000 euros a year.
Okay, well, he makes a living from that. I mean, he's a professional, but he doesn't really make it.
Say, but he doesn't make as much as the rest of us.
Yeah, he's not even in the first division. Well, come on. It's a pretty good level. He's got. Well, he did not only. It's not just the saves, right? With the ball and all that. But it's also about how you lead your defense, right? Like how you inspire them to position themselves, how you move them. I mean, all those kinds of things. By the way, they immediately fired the coach of Tunisia.
Yes. They were here in Barreal for quite a while today. Well, they were supposed to train at one place, like a warm-up, and then at another, the real one, right? But they didn't go to the real one because there was a change of coach.
Of course. It's just that they already lost all trust.
Right? Well, yesterday, Sunday, yes, yesterday when they left, when the team finished, Tunisia fans were waiting for them, shouting during the break, just a normal day.
The Tunisians waited for the team to come out so they could yell at them. Well, yes, I imagine so, right? Well, this is really something. They lost by how much? 7 or 5 to 1? 5 to 1, right? 5 to 1, that's incredible. 0, right? No one, yes, or 5 to 1. I think so. I think it was 1. But anyway, the point is that Cabo Verde 0, well, for them, it tasted like glory. Obviously, for Spain, it tasted like, well, like losing. Now, Spain has had bad starts on other occasions, and then they come back. I mean, Argentina lost their first game to Saudi Arabia when they won the cup. It was a surprise, and they won the cup. So let's say it doesn't mean that Spain is already lost and won't win. No, not at all, really. But now, suddenly, the lesser-known countries can surprise you. Not just in soccer, but also in wars. We've already seen it.
Currently, Iran is playing New Zealand and the score is 2.
But anyway, they're even... It really is a very interesting era.
Interestingly, Saudi Arabia and Uruguay ended up tied as well.
Tied. Now, Saudi Arabia, Uruguay won, right? Won. And look, they started publishing some of the training sessions of, what's it called? The national team over there in Korea. The equipment is really interesting. I mean, because it's either you lift or you push. Sorry, upwards as well, right? Like it goes up. Yes.
Doesn't focus on you.
And they pushed. And then you hit the ball with your head like that.
Yes, you focus on hitting the ball.
Exactly. And you jump, right? And you keep going and going and going. Well, yeah, it's tough. That kind of exercise is interesting. Also, well, today an image has been reported on social media that has honestly been surprising. That happened over there in Fray Bartolomé de las Casas. In fact, look, I used to live there on the left, just a block from there. I mean, I lived there for about 2 years when I first arrived in Monterrey. That was a long time ago in my neighborhood, Bartolomé, Las Casas, Fray Bartolomé. And, well, in this area, look, that bus over there. It started crossing over the sidewalks, breaking cables, what do you call them? Poles, throwing cars to the side. We don't know what happened to that person because it looked like they were running away. There's a person running after the bus for some reason, right? And this one, and
At one point, I thought maybe they had gotten out and it had gotten away from them.
but no, right?
No, because its behavior changed.
You can see it changes lanes precisely. Someone's driving it, but who knows? But, well, how would that situation end, right? It would be interesting if they had it or something. Well, there was probably a blackout over in San Nicolas, at least in that area, because of so many broken cables. And, well, here's another interesting image from today. Because of this, it's really cool or funny. This person was like, look, maybe they told him, look, you have to wear a green suit. A green suit. Like green, because green is green, right? A green suit so that we can remove you, right? And then we remove you. Yeah, I nailed it. He says, and then we remove the little guy, right? The green screen. And so this is a real estate company. And it seemed easy to him, but he didn't find out how it works or what applications to use. We were never able to remove it. They couldn't remove the person on the green screen. They wanted the doors to open on their own and things like that. That's just how it is. It's always there. They had to upload the video that way because there was no other option. They had to upload the video with the little guy from the green screen there appearing in every shot. And, well, that's gone viral in Japan. It's caused them a lot. I want a suit like that. And look, there it is. Check it out. Check it out.
Yeah, I saw it already. It was recent.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It's really cool. Well, that's how they showed this house. By the way, it's in a great location.
Yeah.
That's how you have to lay down the ether.
More complicated than...
Seems. It says here that it's for sale for yes. I know. It's more complicated to remove the yes.
It's just that people,
No.
People watch the behind the scenes videos of movies and think that everything is really easy. No, it's not that easy. Especially because the person you would have to have a video that's exactly the same. But if they, yes.
The person, that's why you would have to do it with a tripod. Keep the shot fixed. Yeah. No. There's no movement. And then you do the fixed shot, the static shot, you do the movement, and then afterwards you remove it. I mean, in that case, it could work.
And even so, it's difficult.
It wouldn't be that easy either. Yeah. $5,500,000 is what this apartment costs over there in Tokyo. But they couldn't afford it.
No, they couldn't.
No.
Anyway, he wrote there, I'm sorry, I don't know how to edit the green guy.
There it is. Well, the image is upside down. But there it is.
He put his explanation there.
He put his explanation there, right? About why not. There it is. I'm sorry. I couldn't remove the little green monkey. Well, that's how it is. But it went viral. Well, at least now. Honestly, if I had the chance, I wouldn't buy it. If someone has $5.5 million to spare, well, they could buy a pretty nice apartment over there in Tokyo. No, there will be plenty of people now who want to buy it. Well, also, another thing, some other images that catch your attention, speaking of international topics, okay? And all of this, there are movements happening from there. We see it from start, from Osinti, right? Which shows, well, this intelligence report. Although this time, well, it's not just the movement of the planes. There are other things happening. We'll talk about that in a moment. Yes, but just to tell you, planes are moving. Planes that are focused on mobilizing armed jets right in the heart of the Strait of Hormuz. Planes from the United States Air Force and the KC-46, a Pegasus, are now active near the Strait of Hormuz, along with the maritime intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance aircraft, the P-8A Poseidon from the United States. There are movements there, and these are withdrawal movements. They are movements to, well, position themselves to attack, or, well, we'll see about that. But there are important movements happening right now. And some planes, jets, would be moving along with these kinds of movements. It's not just the movements themselves, but normally, well, there are jets around that are being refueled by these planes. And these planes are also used not only for that, but to move personnel, to move weapons, ammunition, etc. So, well, that's also part of what's happening in the world. And they say right here in this report, they say there isn't a single visible tanker from the United States Air Force near the Strait of Hormuz for the first time in weeks. So what that means is that it seems like a withdrawal is happening. At least that's what the report says. No, I mean, there isn't. It seems like there isn't. Let's see if we can put it here. It says there isn't any plane of this type in that area right now for the first time in a while. So, yeah, it's strange, isn't it? Yeah, let's say it's a curious thing. Let's go to what's happening in Iran, because apparently there are already explosions. Hey, well, a series of, well, movements are being reported. Explosions. They claim this is happening near the Strait of Hormuz. According to reports, there were at least 3 explosions heard there.
This was heard near or in the area of Kersh Island. Well, several times it has been part of the attacks carried out by the United States since drones are launched in that area. And there are also military bases of the Revolutionary Guard Corps. And well, according to an Iranian media outlet, which is interesting, called Mer News Agency, 3 explosions were heard in the south of Kersh Island and in the area that is in the Strait of Hormuz. Additionally, it is also suggested that besides these explosions, there was an attempt to manage the traffic, because right now there are a lot, like a thousand ships. I think that was the last number they reported as being stopped. And well, actually, the owners of the oil tankers don't want to go through the strait right now.
Of course, if you want, we can discuss all those details now, because that's huge. I mean, right now there's kind of a closure of the Strait of Hormuz without an official closure. I mean, there's a tacit closure, a closure due to distrust. They said in the reports this morning that there are still thousands of ships that aren't moving. They kept asking why that is. We'll discuss it soon. But look, there are explosions, but it's not known where they are happening. Right now, the Ayatollah regime isn't attributing them to anyone. I mean, it's not like they've come out and said, no, it's Israel or it's the United States. They haven't said anything. That seems very strange to me.
They haven't said anything.
I mean, honestly, this whole thing is really strange. So there are explosions. But then you also start to see explosions and images start coming out. This is from Israel, where Israel says or claims that there are attacks from Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. Despite the agreement between the United States and Iran, what details are available about this?
Well, it is reported that the army says there was a launch of what are rockets, missiles, anti-tank weapons, and mortar shells against their troops.
Okay.
This, while the Hezbollah group claimed that they were launching attacks near Matiev, which is the area where the Israeli Defense Force groups are located. Well, a series of attacks by this proxy group managed by Iran would have been targeted. It's a topic that, well, in theory shouldn't be happening because it's part of the agreement. At least that's what Iran says. That's what they've tried to include in the agreement over and over again. Jesus is the one making the first move.
And besides, Jesus was supposedly happy because of the agreement. Well,
In the morning, they sent a reaction like this, right?
exactly. So let's see, what are we talking about? And did we tell you? What is appearing in the Iranian media? Because in the Iranian media, they are also revealing information that is not being discussed in our agreements in the more pro-Trump media. I mean, it's like they want to skip that part. But it's also important because what's being said there is totally different from the narrative we're experiencing, right? But anyway, what else is there?
This, as a reaction, Israel has its own version. Let's see, they say that what they're doing is blocking an Israeli operation that's taking place near a town called Kafar Tevnit, close to Natiyad. And that's why they're making that move, because, well,
So they acknowledge that shots are being fired?
they're admitting that they're firing because they're seeing the other side making moves, and they blame Israel, okay? We have to remember that Israel is inside Lebanon.
Yes, in fact, these attacks, those explosions are inside Lebanon.
They are inside Lebanon.
I mean, it's not an attack towards Israel itself, but rather an attack on where the Israelis are. But inside Lebanon,
What they say is that they are using rockets and drones to prevent Israel from advancing further with armored vehicles and heavy machinery. And this is what they're doing, according to them, keeping Israel from advancing any further inside Lebanon.
well, if that's the case, let's move on to other important matters. There are several issues to cover before we get to what's happening in Iran, just before anything else. This afternoon, it was reported that the so-called hawks within Iran, the high-ranking officials, but those who are, let's say, from the group closest to Mukhtar Moshtaba Khamenei,
In addition to the hardline.
the hardline, exactly, they were already looking at the heads of Galibaf and Aragashi. In fact, look,
Intense.
on social media, even Western social media, they're full of people who are very radical on that topic. So you would see, let's say, Aragashi's post, and when you look below at the comments, it was just all, let's say, drawings or images where, well, they would remove the, you know what I mean, right? They'd put it on a stick and display her. The situation was very aggressive. This was on Twitter. I mean, or on X, right? And just imagine what they're saying on Iranian social media. What I'm getting at is that this group, well, they don't agree. I don't know. They say it's about 20 or 30% of the population that's against this agreement, let's say, and basically wants this radicalization to continue. So that sector of the population, which is still a large group and controls the armed forces, is the one that would be acting in that way. So they're against this. They're against Ali Galibaf. They're against Aragashi. Galibaf is the one.
President of the parliament.
Exactly, the president of the...
He has grabbed a lot of power. That's what many Iranian media outlets are saying. And with this movement that happened with the United States war, since he became at first the main voice with whom the United States negotiated, at one point they removed him. He really has gained a lot of power in Iran. He has made sure of it.
Yes, and I mean, he's a figure who is believed to be preferred by Washington for negotiations. We have to remember that he was given, well, in this meeting, with this, the Sharif, the one from Pakistan.
Pakistan's minister.
Oh, exactly. And he was mentioned there in that meeting. ¿Está sentado? This person is almost like the president right now. Because, look, he shouldn't be sitting there. Okay. In any case, it should be someone like Super Siskian or, in any case, Mohammad Mokhtar Khamenei, but not this person. When we used to see the head of parliament sitting with other presidents, it wouldn't be logical, but he is the one who has been gaining influence in Washington. He prefers it. I mean, it's not, you couldn't say that if he comes to power, you couldn't say that the regime fell, but at least there would be a secta.
Let's say between the...
Exactly. It would be somewhat like Delcy, but not quite, since he's also harsh with his comments. No, who knows? No.
Right now, you also say, well, he's tough because he has my tough line behind on his back. He's carrying it. Okay, so well, come back.
That's a good point. But let's move on. Let's talk about what's happening in the Iranian media, since that's an interesting topic. Within the Iranian media, yes, there's a situation going on that's, let's say, much more than... In fact, I actually think that the news about Iran needs to be watched very closely now in the internal narratives, because clearly, and we hadn't seen this before, it's that clear. There's a fall in Muqtava's power. I mean, that's how I see it. Almost like a kind of coup d'etat where suddenly, I think it's support from the Revolutionary Guard, or at least a faction said so. Let's support the politicians instead, since backing Muqtava won't help us, right? So suddenly, what I feel is that there was kind of, let's say, yes, an internal split in which this man didn't. Along with Aragash himself and all this, well, they started to take power. Let's say now the Iranian newspapers and digital media are divided right now. There's one camp backing the hardliners and another backing negotiations. Or let's say the Memorandum of Understanding, which is what they really call it. No, it's not really an agreement. It's still a Memorandum of Understanding. It's an agreement to reach an agreement. Basically, according to what is reported in this memorandum between Tehran and Washington, which was digitally signed on Sunday and will be officially signed on Friday. That is this coming Friday in Geneva. Yes. According to the columns, the editorial writers there in the newspapers have had completely opposing opinions. For example, very radical sectors are warning about a possible withdrawal. They say it won't happen, that from now until Friday, as you have mentioned here, between Thursday and Friday, Iran will officially announce we are withdrawing from the agreement and that's it. No, that's what it is. Let's say that's the analysis made by the editorial writers, let's say from columns, but from more radical newspapers. And then there are others who claim that, yes, a memorandum of understanding will be made, but that we are not going, that it's just like for show, to drag out the issue for more time, and that a real negotiation won't be reached, that it's just a strategy. History shows that they will go. That's how it's been. Yes, I mean, I'm referring to the regime of the Ayatollahs. I mean, that's how they've handled it for years. They say they're going to negotiate. They insist. But ultimately, they don't negotiate anything. So it seems like that's the approach. But they're confident, according to these sources, that there won't be any real negotiation. The agreement that's being suggested only aims to end the current war, but it doesn't solve the underlying problems. They write this because that's really how it is. And that's the same thing. The Foreign Affairs spokesperson said today that the problems are going to continue. I mean, there's a lot of distrust on both sides, and with good reason, because it's been the same the other way around too. I mean, every time they're about to negotiate something, the war starts up again, like what happened in June of last year. That's how it was. There was a meeting in Oman between the United States and the Iranians. I mean, they were going to meet very close to the Strait in this area. There was a meeting there, I think it was on a Thursday or a Friday, and before the date arrived, Israel launches the attack and the meeting ends. So, well, they see this as a betrayal. When they eliminate Ali Khamenei, their supreme leader. Just imagine. Do you think there would be negotiations if, let's say, the top religious leader in the West were eliminated? The answer is no. Well, obviously you say there wouldn't be any negotiation. I think they're probably thinking the same thing. That radical wing that doesn't want negotiation, not for anything in the world. I mean, they say, why would we negotiate if you took it upon yourself to eliminate Al-Khamenei? But before that, you've also eliminated other leaders who have been key. And to this day, they keep asking year after year, basically for revenge.
Exactly. And interestingly, there's also a division among the conservatives. There are conservatives who don't want the agreement, as Pepe mentioned, but there are also others who do want the agreement. I mean, they say that those who have true national pride and genuine patriotism don't beat the drums of war endlessly. That's what is mentioned in an analysis and an editorial by one of these newspapers, considered one of the traditional conservative papers. That if they see failures in the administration, if they see that, well, the country can't endure this situation much longer. And they think that calculated diplomacy should be applied.
Well, there's calculated diplomacy. We already know what that means. Now, let's go to this footage of how the plane crashed in the United States. No, but there's a report, there's a notice. Let's see if we can see it here. It's this one. I mean, there's a statement, right, about the US bomber that crashed in California. No, this was at the base. Edwards, over there in California, where the plane crashed. Well, obviously we couldn't confirm it at the time, but when we saw how the plane wreckage fell, we said, no way. I mean, how do you survive that? No, the US Air Force already confirmed what happened, right?
Well, the Air Force states that this incident happened at 11:20 in the morning today, that emergency services responded immediately, and according to the statement, the B-52 was on a routine test mission. The response team is working to identify and locate all personnel while the incident remains under investigation. It has been confirmed that there were 8 people on the flight, and unfortunately, none of them survived.
Of course, it was really tough. It's very intense.
It's a B-52. It crashes. It had just taken off and it crashes. Well, it won't have the usual. They won't have to investigate it. But just imagine. Right? Lately, well, some incidents like this, right, or their military. Yesterday, a jet crashed. An FFAA exactly over there in the state of Washington. An FA-18 that went down. In that case, the pilot survived. The pilot managed to eject in this one and another incident that happened. But in Russia, it was also a jet, a bomber. Over there, it was a bomber.
In Siberia?
In Siberia. Exactly. And the crew was good too, because they say several ejected. Supposedly, I think it was 2. And then that's a separate point. A plane that crashed yesterday. Besides 2 helicopters that collided.
Right? Yes. The plane that crashed yesterday had 12 people who were going to go skydiving, and none of them managed to jump.
None of them made it. Yeah, because you might think, well, as it's going down, maybe since they're skydivers, they jump, but they didn't make it. Who knows how the accident happened there? And in that accident, well, people died.
YouTuber, the musician, the YouTuber.
And the musician exactly.
Yeah, they started sharing some images where you can see one helicopter and the other one crashes into it from behind, right? So it really was an accident. I mean, they weren't together or anything.
I mean, they were together, like they were starting to speed up. The images show it.
You can see a helicopter going, pero no iban, no sé quién sé por qué el otro de repente crashes y le pega al que va adelante.
You can see how they fall dramatically. One catches fire, one of the helicopters, the other doesn't. But well, it seems like no one survives, right? I mean, it's really hard to survive that kind of crash, right? That's the situation. Let's move on to other important topics. Thanks to everyone in the community for joining. Danny, how have you been? Thanks again. Have a great night, and thank you for your comment. Roble, Francisco Arce, MT, greetings. Well, this image has been reported. These would be the first images that are starting to circulate of the attack that would have been carried out by Hezbollah against Israeli soldiers inside the occupied areas in Lebanon. This likely occurred in southern Lebanon. What else is known about this topic?
Nothing else.
Nothing else, right?
It's just that these are the first images that are starting to come up.
Well, there they are. Look, in the background, you can see those explosions, right? There aren't any more details in that regard, and we'll be paying attention to whatever is being reported. But with this kind of information, what it shows is that the probability of this issue ending is high, right? I mean that the agreement will end. Hey, thank you so much to everyone in the community who is sharing, and if you haven't done it yet, share the live stream. Let the community know that we're live and tell anyone you know or whatever. And well, I want to thank those who have already shared the live stream. Let's move on to other important information as well. The owners of the oil tankers are refusing to pass through. In the Strait of Hormuz, there's something very clear. There's no reason to cross. Why are they saying that? Because they say they need more information. Let's see, are they going to charge? Are they not going to charge? What's going to happen? Because it's happened several times that they're told they can cross. They try to cross and they get shot at. So what's going on over there?
There were rumors they had agreed to charge them. Yes, that's another issue that still needs clarification. Well, many say they need more information to assess whether crossing could be done safely. Yes, and many of them have been there for months. I mean, it's been more than 4 months already. And the only essential route for global oil and gas transportation, which is extremely important, 20% goes through there. They say it's urgent for traffic to be restored, but they just don't have clear information. I mean, neither the United States government nor Iran has given them the information, and well, they warn about the dangers. Also, there's the issue we just mentioned, the navigation service fee. Well, now Iran has just decided that it needs to charge for it, because they say they have to make arrangements, something about the ecosystem. Apparently, they care a lot about that issue. And also the issue of the mines.
There are also small mines.
The mines.
Today, Donald Trump admitted that they haven't removed all the mines, and that's also true. Well, a few mines remain. That's what Donald Trump said. But anyway, it's also concerning. There are several things that haven't been resolved on this issue, right?
There's also an issue that remains pending, which according to a semi-official Iranian media outlet, transit will be free for 60 days. So Tehran won't charge during these 60 days, and then they'll start charging.
Well, there you have it. So the big question here is what this memorandum is going to generate. I mean, what agreements will be made? It's going to be held on Friday in Switzerland. And so far, the congressmen don't even know what it's about. They talk about that 60-day extension during which nothing will be charged. They're not going to shoot either, right? That's important too. It is supposedly going to be open, although there are doubts. It's the same thing. I mean, they have these doubts. Well, the shipping companies, I mean, just imagine today something very curious happened because some ships tried to cross in this area. They had passed the dangerous Strait of Hormuz when they were attacked. They don't even know who it was. I mean, at first I thought it was the Houthis, but the Houthis haven't claimed responsibility so far, so nobody knows. Maybe it was them. But anyway, it was reported by the Royal Navy of the United Kingdom. Exactly. So, well, now the big question is what Iran is going to get.
Or not.
Or what Iran won't get, right?
Exactly. What is the United States going to get, right? What are they going to get?
Exactly. No, so what does the United States gain? That's the big question. Is the US getting anything from all this mess? Well, it seems like they're not. Now, who's in the agreement and who isn't? That too. I mean, because it's useless for Trump to sign whatever if later the Republicans and Democrats say, hey, we don't like this agreement. And the agreement gets rejected, or the other way around, right? You reach an agreement, but the next day Mokhtar Khamenei makes a statement. You know what? I didn't like it, and the agreement gets canceled. And also, if that happens, so much traveling, so much going back and forth, so many things for nothing, then they have to understand who is actually in the agreement. They haven't published the text, I insist. As long as they don't publish it, there's total uncertainty, right? Most likely for some reason, I don't know. Why do you think they aren't sharing it?
Because they're embarrassed.
Both of them. Exactly. Both sides are embarrassed. So, well, the other big question I mentioned is, will Israel comply or not? I won't answer you because Israel already said it.
No.
I mean, Israel already said it. No, they're not going to comply with something they're not signing. Of course not. Why? Why would they comply with something they haven't signed? Or in any case, they could say, look, if you don't attack me and you stay far away behind the Litani River, maybe I won't attack you. But if you shoot or cross the Litani River, then it's going to be a fight. So, and that's it. I mean, in that sense. Now, another question is whether they're really going to work on the nuclear issue, which is what I'm waiting to see. And I'm surprised that up until now, Rafael Grossi hasn't said anything, as far as I know, at least, because usually Rafael Grossi comes out and says, okay, if they're going to make the agreement right away, well, look, you have to do this, this, and this. I mean, the steps to reach enriched material, which is the key to all of this. But it's not even known if the IAEA agrees, because the IAEA would have to agree, look, with this series of steps they're signing, will they be able to obtain all the enriched material? And that's it, right? But that's not known. I mean, there isn't like a piece of data from the IAEA that says, look, we already saw that they did consider that so many engineers are needed, so many tractors, so much staff. I mean, is it a fact that it's going to happen, or is it just talk? He says, no, well, maybe someday we'll give them the little piece of land with the enriched material that's lying around there. No, who knows? No, I mean, well, I think it's clear here that this situation doesn't really have much chance of holding up.
Exactly.
In Cuba, people are facing a tough situation, which we already know. There is a crisis. There is a situation where, well, there is a tourism crisis, by the way, a very serious one, a power crisis, and a lack of supplies going to Cuba. Tourism has plummeted, and just in the last 5 months, the number of visitors has dropped by 58%. I mean, it's already something very serious. There are hotels that...
Well, there are chains that have already closed.
That have closed. Exactly. So that's a deep crisis that's happening right now. Lately, not much has been said about Cuba, but the situation is still ongoing this weekend. They were talking about a blackout affecting 60% of the island, so situations keep happening here. In this country, it's really something, isn't it?
Exactly. Just in the month, 31,000 tourists arrived, which is a number far below what they usually get in a single month. There's been a historic drop in their main market, Canada, then the US and Russia. How do people from Russia even get here? It's surprising they still do.
Exactly. I mean, if you look at how things have been going for a while, now one of the types of tourism that had grown the most was Russian tourism, right?
Yes. And also, remember, let's not forget that Cuba doesn't have fuel for the planes. How do you even refuel a plane, right?
That's coming in.
That's coming from Russia. I mean, there's no way.
Yes. Well, there was one.
One time they had to leave. Do you remember they had to leave, don't you? The Russians had to remove them due to difficulties, making the issue complex. They're now focusing on North Korea, aiming to revive tourism there. But we'll see what happens.
It has gotten very complicated because, well, you have seen how the Russians are, right? And how are the very North Korean? Yes, how are the North Koreans? And the thing is that the Russians were trying to talk to share some information with the North Koreans, and the government didn't like that, right? Because they started questioning them about things, and that's when they cut them off. I mean, actually, they canceled tourism for a while. I'm not sure if it's open again, but that luxury hotel with water slides, no.
It was.
They stopped it.
Exactly.
Well, Ada tells us that in the World Cup, there's a match going on between Iran and New Zealand, right? No. Right now, it's 2-2, and she says the match is good. Thank you for the report from the stadium. I don't know if you're actually at the stadium. But anyway, Ada Hizo, thank you very much for the report. I appreciate it. I guess, well, later I'll check out the summary because, yeah, well, no, just no.
It was impossible. Today it was all ties, honestly. A lot of ties. Iran, New Zealand, 2 Saudi Arabia, Uruguay, 1 Belgium, Egypt, 1 Spain, Cape Verde, 0-0-0.
0.
Yes, they ended up very evenly matched.
Well, how have you been? How have you been? Greetings. Odilia, how are you? How have you been? Walter Osorio MT, warm greetings. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's move on to other important matters as well. Look, there is an oil crisis. There is an oil crisis right now. And look, they're already warning that the United States reserves, the emergency reserves, are at their lowest level since the Ronald Reagan administration. I mean, that's it. I saw it. We're talking about the lowest level of emergency reserves in the United States since 1983. I mean, just imagine that, right? This really has been or is pretty serious. That's right. Oil went up to 84, but then it stopped there, right? It didn't keep going down. And right now that Asia has opened, because Asia just opened at this moment, we're seeing that it's staying the same as yesterday. I mean, it's staying at $84. The Brent, right? I mean, no, let's see. No. There's not a very significant change, right? Yes, we see 84.16, right? Let's see if it drops down to the 70s, let's say, or if it's going to stay there. I imagine that because of the current uncertainty, it's going to stay in the 80s for now, right? That's what I think. Also, same thing in Texas. It's at 79, right? Which is in the United States. And Bitcoin, well, it's starting to go up a little bit, just a little. It's already at 65,000 after having dropped to $59,000. Well, it's on its way, trying to go up. And the same with gold. Gold is starting to react again. There it goes. Look, it's been going up for a while now. It's going up, even though it hasn't recovered everything it lost. Look, it still has a long way to recover its previous price. Well, yeah, this osa está yendo también fuerte. The S&P 500 is doing really well. I mean, the 500 strongest companies in the United States are going up right now. And today they're almost reaching their all-time high. That's because of SpaceX, right? And also because of the oil situation, right? Obviously, right? But all of this is causing those effects. Well, what they're warning about in this matter, since we're talking about oil, is that not having reserves, leaving them so low, obviously means a potential risk for the United States, right? According to the federal data published on Monday, United States officials released 8.9 million barrels from the SPR just last week. This would leave the United States emergency oil reserve in NIS with 340 million barrels of crude, below the previous minimum set in July 2023. This happened under President Joe Biden. According to reports that amount in the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, the SPR dropped last week to its lowest level since 1983. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is still uncertain about what will happen. Honestly, it's not clear if this will happen or not, right? Until it's signed on Friday, right? Even though it's basically taken for granted, we'll have to wait and see, right? Let's see if it actually happens.
Right? Exactly. Andy Lipo, who is the president of Lipo Oil and Gas Association, says that this release of strategic oil reserves, along with the releases that other countries are making, has helped. And also the fact that China hasn't been buying much. I mean, since they have a lot of reserves, it has prevented oil from rising above $150 per barrel.
That's been the limit they set between China and the United States, two of the biggest consumers. With their reserves, they've managed to maintain some control. Japan and Taiwan have reserves, but South Korea doesn't really. They're already struggling with that issue. But anyway, let's move on to another topic, because Netanyahu is reacting to this agreement, right? There's a reaction from the Israeli Prime Minister that caught my attention. What he's showing, or what he's trying to do, is not directly criticize the agreement, right? I mean, he's giving his opinion, but without being too harsh, because obviously the United States wants it, or Donald Trump wants the agreement.
Exactly. Basically not criticizing Trump. I think that many senators in the United States have learned this from the Republicans. And while Netanyahu is doing the same today and also not criticizing the agreement, he says with or without an agreement, Iran will not have nuclear weapons, not today or tomorrow. As long as I'm prime minister, this won't happen, he declared, calling it his life's mission. Something he's pursued for decades. It also serves as a campaign move since he'll run for election soon, obviously. Well, he has to make this stance very clear to see if he wins, because he really has come out quite battered from this war with Iran, right? Some analysts in Israel said that if it had been known, there's no way to know. But if they had known it was going to end like this, with an agreement like this, then they wouldn't have even gone to war with Iran.
Exactly. Exactly. But that's how things are on this topic. By the way, changing to other also important matters, FIFA had actually banned interviews in Spanish. Exactly. The press conferences they hold there with the players, well, there were people who wanted to speak in Spanish and wanted the players to speak in Spanish too. So it was like, what's wrong with that, right? And it was, no, speaking in Spanish was forbidden, right? That everything has to be in English and that's it. And I don't know what else, supposedly because there were no translators or something like that. But well, now FIFA has changed its mind, right?
Exactly. As of today, they've already put in real-time translators for Spanish and English. I mean, in the end, they're more than enough. I mean, if there's one thing for sure, it's that there are plenty of people who speak Spanish and can translate for you into English. And well, because it's been heavily criticized, because several players, including Vinicius Jr., Frankie de Jong, and Ashraf Hakimi, speak Spanish. They couldn't do it during official press conferences. In fact, in one instance, though I can't recall who, someone began speaking Spanish to him and he said, "No, wait, they say they don't let us." And he replies, "What do you mean? Of course you can." Then in front of everyone, they're told it's not that they can't speak Spanish. So it's an issue that has obviously been heavily criticized. And well, today they finally solved it.
Well, these are strange things that happen over there in FIFA. And also, well, another one. Let's move on to other important matters as well. But we were waiting for the president of Switzerland to react.
And say, I didn't invite anyone.
Because it's supposed to be in Switzerland where this meeting will take place. And well, that's it. Now, the president of Switzerland has confirmed the meeting between the United States and Iran, right?
Exactly. The president of Switzerland, Guy Parmelin, just confirmed that they already have the date. He confirms that the signing of the agreement between the United States and Iran will be this weekend. He ruled out that it will necessarily take place on Friday, which would be June 19th, but said it will be this weekend, and that there are still some details pending regarding the delegations and that they will be sent to him in the next few hours. Well, what?
Well, that's the Switzerland issue. Switzerland confirms, right? It confirms that it's going to see some activity there, and then classic Switzerland comes back again with that sort of neutral stance and all that. Well, because it was always considered a country for negotiations.
Qatar lost that position today for getting too involved. Yes, that position for getting too involved also.
Exactly, Qatar. That's where that gets lost. Or does Oman also lose its position as a somewhat neutral country? And Pakistan too. Honestly, like, well, I mean, even though yes, it's still operating there. Well, in the end, it has a lot at stake in this, right? On this topic, and well, also Qatar isn't going to be the country anymore. It's going to be Switzerland where it'll be signed, right? That also stands out today. So let's go to the comments. How have you been? How are you doing? Thank you so much for joining us, for allowing us actually to keep you company wherever you are. Thank you very much. Over here, well, there were storms in Texas, there were storms in Mexico City, in Monterrey, in different parts of the country. There were, well, rain or storms, right?
They are really strong nations, you know.
Yes.
Yes. Actually, the Fan Fest was canceled for that very reason because, well, you don't want to put people at risk, of course. Because to get there, well, greetings to Armando Antonio, who says greetings, and now he's talking to Karim. Greetings to Karim.
And greetings to everyone watching.
Greetings, Caribelli, Cariben Caribelli. Greetings also to Ofe, to Panterita Sísmica, to La Caribe, to Es Caribe Caribelli.
Yesterday. No, yesterday. Wait.
What happened with the network? It wasn't.
No, it wasn't today.
It wasn't today.
Wait.
We were hoping to have you on, Caribelli. We would like an interview with you to see if there's an opportunity. And if you'd like, so you can explain to us this news that's been circulating about, well, a discovery of how mushrooms are connected. Well, I mean, as if they form huge circuits around the planet.
And as if they were veins.
Like veins, that's what the scientists said. Exactly. And how do they process many nutrients? Among them, they also process CO2 and other things that are also important for, well, for cleaning up the planet. So let's see if there's an opportunity. It would be really interesting. Sending you a big greeting, Caribelli. We mentioned you earlier. Greetings. What else? What else is out there?
Greetings also to Vederi. If you were there, the Vatican, and you are one and the same who takes care of the Pope. Greetings to Vederi.
Hey, how are you? Very good.
Greetings to Rasco Rivas. He says he doesn't think so. The Inanis won't give anything. That's what they've been criticized for, right? There's nothing, well, at least from what they published, it doesn't look like Iran is going to give absolutely anything. Nothing. Greetings to Roble. How are you, Roble? Walter Osorio too. How are you, Walter? And greetings to FTCN. How are you? Also to Vic Sega. And Silvia Amate says, she says, the one who revealed himself was Rosario. Marcelo Viesa, the coach of Uruguay. Yes, he wasn't looking straight ahead in the photo. That's what they say. They mentioned it's going downhill. And at the press conference, he said, I'm not a model. And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, maybe he's right. Maybe we're overthinking it because he didn't look.
Because of the photo.
Also, the one from yesterday, in yesterday's match is one, oh, which country was it that beat Ecuador? A country from Africa. But anyway, right now I still can't remember. But anyway, today they interviewed the one who scored the goal. And he didn't want to anymore. He said, no, it's not my job to be answering interviews. He was really annoyed. He didn't like it. He doesn't like giving interviews at all, Ivory Coast.
Ivory Coast.
Ivory Coast, the player who scored the goal, didn't like giving interviews at all. It's just that they always ask me the same thing. And honestly, the questions were really, really obvious, right? Are you happy you scored? Well, of course he's happy, right?
Greetings. No.
Greetings.
Armando Espinosa, this is Espinosa, maybe TVP. Good evening, earthquake on Sulawesi Island, 6.3.
Wow, let's see. Let's check this out.
From Chile, how are you?
Hello, hello.
He says no.
I don't see it yet. Let's check now. Me.
Caribe from the CPP says they communicate by okay.
Crazy.
They called me and I missed you all. Greetings, come on, Caribe.
Greetings, Kurt.
Look, here I'm seeing the biggest earthquake that shows up for me. At least the USGS from the United States shows this one from the Philippines. But we already talked about it this morning, 0.2. And after that one, after this one comes this other one, which is 5.5. Maybe it's not updated, so I'll keep refreshing to see if it shows up. Not yet, this earthquake.
No, of course.
Yes, they've knocked. Yes. Yes, exactly.
That's in the books. Shout out to Francisco Arce. How are you?
Hi, how have you been? There are a few documentaries about that, right?
Yes.
How they prepare them and all that. Ando says,
Years, right? They're there for years, then switch.
yes. They're bothering Carivel right now because she's presenting a report. So, well, no. We won't bother you. Greetings, Carivel. Elena says, greetings from Tehuacan. We're here watching. It's great.
Greetings.
All the way to Tehuacan, Puebla. Big greetings. Always remembering those celebrating birthdays in the community, especially those dealing with illness. Hope you feel better. Rasco Rivas asks how you've been. Many greetings.
Greetings also to Nueva's dad. How is Nueva KMT's dad? How are you? Greetings to Edil Sendeño, who is also here, and Miguel Alejandro, who says he's happy with Uruguay tying Arabia 1-1. Very good. Beautiful. Great. We almost won. Greetings, Miguel.
Greetings, Miguel. I'm going to check the highlights. I've already seen Spain's and another summary, though I can't recall which one I watched today. I just watched 2 highlights. I'll check this one later and see how it is. I'm also going to watch the Tunisia one. Yeah, the Tunisia-Sweden one. Well, we watched that one in full. We did watch that one in full. We watched it last night.
Hello. Yeah, they're saying the game was pretty good, the Iran and New Zealand one. We didn't watch it, but I did see that it was very politicized, which is something FIFA always tries to avoid. Yeah. They try to prevent people from bringing things, but well, people managed to bring things anyway. For example, those who brought the flag, the one from Leon, they brought it in pieces. So once inside the stadium, they put it together and displayed the huge flag. With Leon, many of them said that some of the people with the national team are terrorists, right? And then another group brought letters to spell out the name of the school where all these boys and girls lost their lives, and parents too. And well, they put it together too. So, I mean,
Everywhere from all sides.
Everywhere sides. Well, yeah.
but they did say that the people inside the stadium really celebrated Iran's goals a lot
Iran's, right? And that happened in the United States.
in the United States.
Look how crazy.
How interesting.
Angels, look how interesting that is. How have you been? Very good. Panther, it catches my attention that here in Mexico, they sided with Sweden. Well, every goal by Sweden was celebrated. This is Armando. How have you been? Greetings.
Did you see the Swedes who were at a strip club?
No, there's a dark-skinned guy going viral. I'll tell you later. Greetings, he's here.
Skinny guys are weak. Greetings to Éxito Riqueza, and if Israel trusted him in the US, the United States is not to be trusted. Ukraine got stuck. The United States stuck because of the United States. That's how it must be. And as a guarantor, not at all. Yes, if not. Well, just a few weeks ago, Mark Carney said this. A super harsh but very real criticism that agreements with the United States are worth more as paper than what was actually said.
Well, that's really harsh. That's tough. But yes. But those agreements are broken so easily, right? I mean, really easily. Now, here's the earthquake you were talking about. Armando Espinosa. Thank you for bringing it up and mentioning it. This is in Palu. It's also well within this famous ring of fire. Here are the earthquakes in this area of the Philippines, and here is one of them. It's a magnitude 6 earthquake here, near where the 7.8 just struck. And this one in Indonesia is 6.7 with a depth of 10 kilometers. So yes, we'll have to stay alert and see how people feel it. I mean, how people experience it. And let's see if it doesn't generate some kind of tsunami, because the depth is 10 kilometers. So we'll stay alert to see what happens.
They say the storm between Mexico and the United States is intense.
Yes, let's watch it live. I mean, well, in real time. Well, almost, because the satellite has a 15-minute delay. But with the 15-minute delay, it's nothing. So we can actually see exactly where the clouds are, right? There they are. Look, the size, just from Texas. Here we are in the middle. We're over here. We're around this area. No, yeah, it's huge. The storm is really big. Impressive, right? There it is. It's even bigger, but this is the most intense part. But if you look, it covers almost the entire southeast of the United States. And at one point, it even reaches Nayarit over here. Yeah, the rains. So, well, there it is. Here we are, broadcasting from this mega cloud that covers several states, covering part of the United States and part of Mexico. Well, this is a tremendous storm, at least. Right now it's not raining here, but it has been raining all day. And in other parts of Monterrey, it's been super intense. Well,
He says, David, I think I saw a lot of support for Iran because in Los Angeles, where the game was, it's one of the largest Iranian communities, so it was for Iran. Well, yes, that could be it. Greetings, Jalala.
greetings, Jalala. How are you?
Greetings also to Sol Garcia. How are you doing there?
Sorry, it's just that I'm laughing.
I'm really ugly. Greetings to Francisco Arce as well. To Martin Castañeda here. Greetings from Mazatlan. The app reports a 6.8 earthquake in Indonesia. Martin says, cheers, Martin.
5, 6. Yes. Yes, exactly. Yes, it marks it like that.
Hello, Christy. How are you, Christy?
Very good, Christy. Big greetings. What's up? How are you doing?
Greetings. Who wants us and do we want them happy birthday? But whose?
And whose birthday? Carabelle's.
It's Caribel's birthday. Let's see, Caribel is turning 6. We'll see soon. Greetings to Seferino. I'd like to talk to these people. Greetings also to Leonardo. How are you, Leonardo? To Joel Rivas. Also to Ofe Mendez. How are you, Ofe? To Adilce. We greet Adilce Sandeño. Danny is also here. One Danny Nantino from 98D980. How are you, Danny? Greetings to YouTube. Greetings to Francisco Arce, Armando Antonio Bru. He says Koreans are Martians. Armando says that. Why, Armando? Greetings also to who greeted us, to Miguel Alejandro. He says the ships will be nervous about leaving without knowing where the mines are. Who will help them navigate through? That's the issue, isn't it? Also the issue that, well, even within the Revolutionary Guard itself, obviously, just like in many places, there will always be people who will try to extort the ships and, well, they'll want to get some money out of them. So yes, it's an issue that obviously causes nervousness because at the end of the day, many of these ships are carrying oil and hitting a mine would basically mean the end of that ship and its entire crew. Greetings to MT. He says Netanyahu gave a press conference in Israel and said that he wasn't going to stop attacking because supposedly a motorcycle arrived that was going to attack and they took it down, and that the United States, well, doesn't control them. Yes, well, they did say that. I don't know about the motorcycle, but yes, because they said they're not, I mean, they didn't sign anything, right? I mean, yes, they said that if Hezbollah attacks them, they will respond. They made that very clear since yesterday.
Exactly, right.
And they're not going to leave Lebanon either.
Not from Lebanon either. Mauro, how have you been? Femendez, Armando, Panterita, Caribel, awesome greetings. Is it someone's birthday? Is it someone's birthday or not?
From yes, Caribel.
Caribel, well, a big hug. Caribe, what Caribel?
Caribel.
Happy birthday. Hope you have a great time. And well, hope all the work you have right now goes smoothly, right? All the presentations and reports you have to do. But anyway, happy birthday. Hope you have many more years. And thank you for being with us.
Thanks to the Delgado brothers, especially Armando Delgado watching from Nebraska.
Very good.
He asked Mauro, are you under that big cloud?
Yes, we're there. We're
We're under that big cloud. It feels strange. It never comes out in the afternoon. It feels like being at home.
Yeah. Because, I mean, we always have our workout scheduled for a certain time in the afternoon. And today, well, it got ruined. So I had to work out here at home. But it's not the same. It's not the same, obviously, right? It's a way to get out for the day and clear your mind.
Also, you see the fridge, and it's like you really want something from the fridge.
Yeah, that's right. It's part of the temptation.
Yeah.
Luckily, we don't have cookies or things like that, but we do have some things stuck there. Shout out to Joel. How are you, Joel Rivas?
Hello, Joel. Good evening. All right. Let's see how this cloud has behaved in the last 24 hours, right? Over Texas and the United States. Let's load the video. Look, there it is. This is how it has behaved. Notice how it forms. Let's put it on full screen to better see how the cloud has been behaving. Look. Notice how interesting it is. How it looks. If you're watching on TV, you'll see more detail, right? All of that is a thunderstorm. And look. Notice how it moves from Texas, advancing towards Mexico, towards Coahuila, Nuevo León, Tamaulipas. I think by now it's already reaching San Luis Potosí, maybe even further, right? This one is bringing a lot of rain, a lot of water. There are some areas with water accumulation that will reach, for example, Galveston, Texas. If our friends in Galveston are watching, in the next 3 or 4 days, they're expecting about 400 millimeters of rain.
Oh, sir.
A lot of water is coming this way.
It's 4 hurricanes.
Yeah, I mean, yes, honestly. I mean, I don't want to scare you, but I mean, in terms of water, it's a lot of water. I mean, as far as water goes, a huge amount of water is expected for Galveston. If the report is accurate, I insist, because in the end, those are predictions, right? It doesn't have to be exact, but it means that in some area of the Texas coast, there could be a lot of rain. People from Texas were asking us where the rain was. Well, the rain is happening more toward the southern part of Texas, not so much in Dallas or other regions of Texas. Maybe it's not raining or there's very little rain, but in the area, for example, around Waco, which isn't that far south. Waco is actually more to the north. From Waco to the south, the rain has been much heavier, right? Yes. So that's how it is. That's how things have been. Yes.
Yes, Leonardo Pepe, and I was so cozy that I fell asleep and just woke up, so I missed it. Now, we're already at the end, Leonardo.
Cheers.
It's just that my birthday is on Saturday.
Anyway, congratulations, right? Congratulations, Carabel. She just had her birthday. Gizia, yes. She just turned a year older.
Greetings, says Armando. He suggests swamps for us. Yes, well, first I suggest that Panterita be the mediator between Iran and the United States. Who says that everything would already be signed, says Armando.
Hey, yes, Armando. Let's send Panterita over there. He mediates everything for me. There.
Yes, he says it's from my book that I'm working on during my sabbatical year.
Awesome. No, man. Well, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's see. When you publish it, let us know and publish it here. What's it called? We'll promote it, right? Yes. Yeah, Basti. I don't know if it's going to be in bookstores or where we'll be able to get it. But hopefully we can buy one. We'd be really happy, right? To be able to read it and try to understand a little more about mushrooms, right? And above all, that's super interesting.
Leonardo says, Basti and Pepe, hopefully this agreement ensures the fertilizer arrives before planting season in Latin America.
Greetings, says Maria Elena.
Greetings. Well, it's a pleasure to greet you all and a hug to everyone celebrating a birthday. How are you? Greetings also to Rasco Rivas, who says, congratulations on your day. God bless you. Greetings, Rasco. And also greetings to Vicky, who says, yes, I'm already seeing a pediatrician at Real 14, says Vicky. Greetings, Vicky.
So how have you been?
Mega says, in Aguascalientes, it rained all morning and it's still very cloudy. But all of Mexico is having rain. A lot of rain in the next 48 hours.
Exactly. Greetings also to Rasco Rivas, who says, talk about men someday. Every day we have at least some kind of report. We have to remember that in the morning we have shorter broadcasts. For example, today we did this broadcast where we commented on these images that appeared in Taiwan. Some supposed objects or strange lights there in Taiwan. And well, as things and interesting situations happen, we'll obviously be commenting on them. But of course, yes, that's what we're doing. Big greetings, Rasco Rivas, Raul Sachs, Martin Castañeda. How have you been, Emma?
Greetings.
And well, so what else? What else is out there?
Greetings also to Martin, aftershocks of 5.3 and 4.0. And greetings to Panterita. Well,
oh yes, there are already aftershocks, right? I mean, aftershocks are already starting to happen. So well, up until now, it did feel strong from what I'm seeing. But there's still no tsunami warning. At least for now, there isn't one, right? You're right. There's already an aftershock. This one is magnitude 5.2. And if the depth is confirmed to be around 10 kilometers, then yes, it could possibly have some effect. A tsunami is unlikely since it happened on land. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't in the sea. Now, if we get really close, it wasn't in the sea. But let me see if I can get closer over there. Let's see, there it is. Look, it was on land. Do you see the earthquake? So that reduces the chances that it's going to be, that it's going to generate a tsunami. Now there it is, right? That's the epicenter, right? Inside Indonesia, right? In Palu, right? And well, that's at least what we know so far, right? Let's go. La Panterita, Caribel, and everyone in the community who's joining. Thank you so much. Vic, how have you been? Big greetings, very good.
greetings also to Exito Requesa, who says Israel has to produce its own weapons like Ukraine is doing. The United States serves as our guarantor. Greetings, Exito. Greetings.
Greetings. How have you been? Very good, and Ukraine is learning that too, right? They want to avoid dependence on other countries, since otherwise it's complicated. And the Europeans are learning that too, that it's not convenient to depend on just one country when it comes to weapons. Jalala says that when liquidity is lacking, the authority to create new money arises. This happened with Lincoln's greenbacks. A crisis, a war, and a debt forced the United States to issue its own bills. Jalala Martin says, what do you know about the fake death of the warrior child from Tren de Aragua? Says, well, there are contradictory news reports, and while the CIA might be upset. What do you think, Martin? I thought about it from day one. Well, it's just a thought. Could it be? Because it seemed too fast to me. When they carry out those attacks and they're serious, it usually takes days, weeks to confirm that someone died. That person, it seemed way too fast to me. Like almost immediately, the kid, this warrior kid, had already died. So, well, up until now, as always, right? With these kinds of characters, there are doubts, right? You don't know, right? Supposedly, they say he died. Others say he didn't. And that's when those doubts start to come up. I don't know if our friends from Venezuela have heard anything about this. If so, leave it in the comments. Nearly every day I dig around and we discuss interesting cases. Today we've already talked about 2 cases in previous broadcasts if you'd like to check them out. They're there, and yesterday too. And like that, almost every day we talk about some interesting case. Vic says, did you see that it flooded before the Argentina game tomorrow in Alabama? Wow, that's crazy. I didn't know that, Vic. Let's see how it happened.
Greetings to Angel Jimenez and my daughter Angeli. Go to sleep, you have classes tomorrow. Hi, Daddy. We greet each other daily. Sleep now, Angeli, so your brain works well.
Greetings, greetings. This one says I want
Mexico to always, always, always beat the United States.
Yes, greetings.
Set up Carlos Martinez's. What things? Carlos to Dorian Enix. What things? Orion says this. Pepe Chan. Drop your likes and Dorian leaves. Greetings.
Let's go now.
Let's go, guys. Remember, we send live stream notifications on WhatsApp and Telegram, and we're also on Facebook, X, and Insta.
Thank you so much for sharing, for spending a little time with us. Tomorrow we'll be here early and we'll be live with all the information, with everything that's happening in the world. Thank you so much. A hug. See you later.
we interrupt your regular programming. Thank you for tuning into the truth. This is Pepe Live.
The truth is intense and tough. The unbelievable is real. Here we analyze it. Global perspective. Don't miss out. Tune into the channel. Pepe Live taking over the airwave. Pepe and Astrid telling it like it is. Raw journalism gets respect here. Turn on alerts. Don't lose track. Until next time. Yes, sir.
We're taking attendance. Subscribe.
In the house.